Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United. United. All right, guys, welcome along to All for United. We are back for another AFU last word, and it's been a busy weekend, I think, for everyone. Happy Mother's Day to any mums who watch us, by the way, and to all
happy Mother's Day, mum.
Sons and daughters out there who were brought up by some terrific grandparents and mums and amazingly strong women. We're going to talk about Bruno's contract. We're going to get reaction to the Man United women's game as well, because we've got multiple people on the panel who were there today. So it'd be really good to hear from the guys about their experience. I'm going to start with something a little bit different, if you don't mind, boys, because yes, last night. So this week in general, and I don't feel like we talk about this as much. Like, we're usually blokes on this show, Last Words, who have a chat. We all know each other quite well. We get on really well. But guys in particular don't really talk about where their head's at and what they're doing. And I was thinking to myself on Saturday night that I was going to start this show and I was going to be a little bit downbeat because I wanted to talk to you all about the fact that I was really looking forward to the show because I had a tough week. My head was in a really shit place. But today, I spent some time with my family and I feel different. And sometimes it takes little moments and little days like today to remember what you've got and sort of to be happy and sort of dwell on things nicely. And I suppose the reason why I want to say that is I just want to say to anyone out there who's having a really shit time of it at the moment and you're watching this now, I hope we bring a smile to your face. I hope we make you laugh. And I hope hopefully we take some stress away and you put a smile on your face, because I enjoy talking to these boys every week. And I know these boys enjoy it the same. It's a social occasion. It's a networking occasion, but it's also a chat for us to be us and a chance for us to be us. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to you boys today. And I hope anyone out there who's struggling also is happy. I mean, I wasn't so happy watching the F1, but we're a football channel. We won't speak about that. And we'll just crack on as Connor. Do you want to get your gloating out of the way? Do you just want to just say something?
I've not said a word. I don't
just
know what you're on about.
Just say something, because I can't sit here and look at your smug face any longer thinking that you're going to say something.
Did you not see my tweet? I was quite happy. It said, it's a good battle, good rate. Isn't it what we all wanted? A close fight again. That's what we're getting. Cars are better. Cars are following better. It was won by under a second. What more do you want? Agendas. That's what it is. Agendas against certain drivers.
Anyway, should we move on?
Tactical yellow flag.
Contract. There's apparently going to be a lot of money in it. Apparently, it's going to be signed after the international break, and apparently, it's all factual shit hot and happening. Connor, let me come over to you first. I suppose a big question that I've posed on Twitter, and I want to get all your thoughts to start off with before we even jump into the money. Agreeing new contracts when we haven't even got a manager. What are your thoughts on that, Connor?
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think Cal made the point, so I'm not going to steal his thunder too much, but I think he made the point when we spoke about this last Thursday in terms of he does deserve it, but it's a bit weird now. Like, there's bigger issues that we need to get sorted before a Bruno contract. But maybe I don't know. The thing is, we don't know how far down the line negotiations with a new manager is, because they could be wrapped up. We just don't know about it yet. And they can't officially announce it. We don't know. And we don't know the conversations that happen behind the scenes. So they might have already said to Bruno, look, this is the guy who's coming in. Are you happy with? And these negotiations, I think, started last year anyway. And I think Bruno was always going to sign no matter who the manager was. I don't think it really matters to him, unless it's somebody he really hates. But I don't think there's many people out there that he wouldn't play for, particularly for United. You see that when he plays. So, yeah, it's a bit weird, the timing, like I said, because there's more pressing matters at the moment. But I wouldn't be surprised if they already have an idea of who the manager is. And I think that's why you're seeing drip-fed articles from certain media outlets. I think Man United probably already know who they want and have already had those in-depth discussions. But they're not going to put that out there, are they? You're not going to get a report. You get rumours, but you're not going to get a report saying, oh, this is happening, and 2 months later it'll get agreed. So I'm sure they already know and have had those conversations with Bruno, but we just don't know, do we?
Yeah, I mean, Benny, I don't think there's any question that Bruno wants to potentially stay for longer and earn more money. I think that's probably a given, right? But from United's point of view, we've put down so many big contract extensions in the past without a manager or with managers with uncertain futures, and they've come back to bite us on the arse. I mean, even if we look at the Lingard situation, that's a prime example, really. So with Bruno Fernandes, I'm not trying to correlate between the two players in terms of quality, but in terms of United learning their lesson, does this worry you at all? Are you slightly worried about the motion that United are handing out contracts willy-nilly?
I do think we've learnt a lesson. I think we've come a long way since having the likes of Phil Jones 5 years and Jesse Lingard 5 years. But what you've got to remember, no disrespect to Phil Jones or Jesse Lingard, they're no Bruno Fernandes. They're not one of your best players in the team. In fact, I still think even a Bruno Fernandes that's not even firing all cylinders is still probably our best player, arguably. You know, he makes things happen. He might drift in and out of games sometimes. He might not seem like he does a lot, but at least he takes the risks. He makes things happen on a football field. And let's be fair, he's still producing a decent output of goals and assists as well. Let's not forget he doesn't take penalties much anymore or free kicks now that Ronnie's come back. So that's sort of maybe dried up his avenue of goals a little bit. However, you know, I think it's right to tie him down now. Get him tied down now. You know, I know people are saying, "Oh, we don't know who the manager is," or like Connor said, we have been drip-fed bits of rumours that we know that it's either Ten Hag or it's either Pochettino. It's one of those two. We ain't stupid. It's, you know, it's not going to be, unfortunately, it's not going to be the Spanish manager, because what's the point trying to wait till 6 months down the line into a new season to try and get a Luis Enrique? So, you know, we kind of know which two front runners are going to probably be the favourites to come in. So I just think, listen, you're going to have to tie Bruno down, you know, as soon as possible. If anyone deserves a new contract, by the way, it's Bruno Fernandes. If anyone deserves a bit of a pay rise, it's Bruno Fernandes, especially when you see some of the people that are ahead of him on the wage scale, and you're thinking they haven't done half as much as Bruno, haven't put half as much effort as Bruno has on the football field. Yes, Bruno does sometimes, maybe he's a little bit guilty of throwing his arms around too much, maybe sulking a little bit, but I just think that's the foreign attitude, because you think Cristiano Ronaldo is exactly the same thing. You know, I think it's just the way that foreign players are brought up sometimes. I think that's the way they show their passion, I think, you know, by throwing their arms in the air, maybe moaning a little bit too much. But listen, I think it's fully deserved. I can't think of anyone else in this current side that deserves a proper, decent 5-year contract extension with decent wages, apart from Bruno.
Callum, am I right in saying you slightly disagree with the motion that he deserves a new contract? I remember you making a statement on Anything Goes midweek, and you said something along those lines. I don't want to put words into your mouth, so do you want to respond to that?
I didn't quite say that he didn't deserve it.
Sorry, let me just quickly tweet that. Let me tweet that, because I think that will get clicks.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that, because you know it pisses me off. No, I didn't say that. I said I just didn't think it was necessary. His current contract already runs till 2026. And his new one's going to 2027. I get he needs a wage increase and all that, but I just didn't think it was that necessary. I mean, Benny's right. If there's anybody in the side, I guess it's him that deserves an improved or a rewarded contract. But I just didn't think it was very necessary. I thought it could have waited a little bit longer, waited till the new manager came in, or at least wait until next season. The only thing I can think is, has his agent or his representatives just gone into the powers that be at United and gone, look, my client needs more money because look at how he's performed since he came to the club. Which, if you're going on that basis, in comparison to some of the other players, well then, yeah, he probably does deserve an improved contract, but it's not as if he was earning a tenner a week. Like, he was earning good money already. So, I don't know, I just don't think it was completely necessary. Yeah, I mean, guess he deserved it out of everybody else. Yeah, probably, but I just thought he probably could have waited a little bit more. I thought it was a bit unnecessary at this point in time. But I get why they've done it. I just think if it was me, I'd have waited that few extra months.
So he does deserve a new contract, but it's not necessary.
Well, yeah.
So don't tweet he doesn't deserve a new contract, just to get it right.
Yeah. Well, don't start being a gold bridge and quoting garbage.
Come on, Stonebridge. Don't start on me. Come on. Do you want to play the game now?
I didn't come on this channel to be misquoted and garbaged and clickbaited. You know that very much. So don't misquote me. I said he probably deserves it out of everybody, but I thought it was a little unnecessary given the current length of his contract. But if he's getting a new one, then fair play to him.
I'm trying to sort out. It's not working. I'm trying to sort out so I can share my screen, but it's not working. So I don't know if this is going to work here. Is it working? Can you see it? Should we play a game of Spot the Callum?
Well, I've seen that picture.
Can we see him?
Oh yeah, there's me. I can see him.
Do we know where he is? Does anyone want to try and find him?
Can nobody see me there? No.
Stu, can you see him?
I've got my readers on.
I was going to say, I'm checking my watch out, I think, on looking at that picture.
I can see.
I'm on the left.
I can see some light shining off his hair or head.
Yeah.
If anything's a good advert for Mr. Sheen.
Yeah.
Who took that picture out of interest? That's quite. I didn't know anyone else was there.
I saw it on Twitter.
It was on. Yeah, somebody put it on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know who actually.
An All for United fan has papped you. Why? Do you want to zoom in? Is it going to be the new profile picture?
No, I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh. Stop it! I think you look.
Who was it that took that picture?
You look great. Did you enjoy it?
Who was it that took that? Was it someone on the channel who was there? Because I thought it was just us that went today.
I don't know. Does anyone know who took it?
No.
It was somebody on it was somebody I can probably find out, but it was somebody on Twitter who was in the other end.
I don't think they've taken a picture of you there, Cal. I just think
no, I know, but I'm obviously in that picture. I'm just curious who took it.
Jesus Christ!
It'll be his new profile picture tomorrow.
Jamie, I disagree. We had a tweet saying Pat @_Callum Stone, the guy from All for United.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Go on, Jamie,
in Manchester.
Bruno Fernandes, what are you making of the new contract sitch?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's nothing that hasn't already been said. I think it's bizarre to be agreeing new contracts when we've got an interim manager. So you do think that probably something is going on behind the scenes that they've spoken to Bruno about. He said, look, whoever's coming in fancies you as a key player. He's been our best player since he joined us. Realistically, I don't care what some of these reactionary muppets on Twitter keep saying that it's all just hero balls and nonsense with him, because I don't buy that whatsoever. He gets what it is to be a United player. He plays well for the badge every time he comes on, and he was on what? I think he was on 80 grand a week, which is obviously a lot of money. But when you've got the likes of Jesse Lingard's on 150, that probably would piss me off a little bit as well. So maybe I don't think he's kicking up a fuss. He doesn't strike me as the sort of guy that would do that. But yeah, maybe Cal's right. Maybe his agent sat there going, "Hang on, why is my client only getting this?" When you've got the likes of Jesse Lingard, who's on nearly double his wages. Luke Shaw, the best paid fullback in the world. Bruno, he might be hit and miss for us sometimes this season. The whole squad is, but every time he pulls on the shirt, you know you're going to get something from him. He cares about the club and he understands what it is to play for the club. So I agree with Cal. I don't think it's necessary, but if anyone deserves better terms and a bit more money a week, it's him.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Wait a second. On this picture, can I just go back to it? Because I've just realised your comment, Connor. Was that you stood in front of Callum?
Yeah, it's me and Alexi in front of Cal, and then John's a bit to the right of us. So I'm the one with the scarf.
I only saw Callum. I only recognised for some reason Callum. Are you checking your watch there to see how much longer you've got to stand in front of him?
Do you know what? I actually reckon that was taken close to the end, and I was actually putting my stopwatch on when they said 5 minutes added on.
Do you do that? Do you always set your stopwatch when? Because obviously the board doesn't say, does it? Do you always set your stopwatch when they put the added time on?
Well, yeah, there's dodgy referees in the WSL, so you have to. Oh, okay. So,
Connor against the FA. I love the idea of that.
Do you know what? A couple of lads who were there today actually warned me about the refereeing. And I know we're coming on to it in a bit, so I'm sure we'll speak about it more. But Jesus, it was terrible. Like, it was really, really poor. Like, beyond to the point where I was like, this can't be acceptable, surely. Like, it was dreadful. Like, yeah, we complain about it in the men's league and Champions League and all that, but that was another level of bad. That I couldn't get over how shocking the refereeing was. I don't understand how that's allowed or acceptable in any game of football. Like, we wouldn't have even accepted that in Sunday League, and this is supposed to be the top of the women's game. It was really poor, I thought.
Well, wasn't it just the other week, Connor and Benny, that the women's team scored a goal and the ball was definitely over the line? It came back out and then they scored they literally scored a couple of seconds later from a screamer. I can't remember who scored the goal, but it was you could see it was over the line from the first shot.
We
I
could.
remember what
We
game
were
it was.
stood at the back of the Medeski, and we could see it from where we were.
Yeah, I did. The Reading game, yeah.
But yeah, that's a weekly occurrence, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I wasn't there, unfortunately. I was at Old Trafford, but yeah. But the thing with the situation with the refereeing is though, then they're not trained to the highest of high standards. You know, they haven't got the training that the Premier League referees have, the fitness tests and all that, and the rigorous sort of analysing that they go through of their own games. A lot of these are still making their way in the game as well. A lot of these referees and officials and lineswomen and linesmen, you know, and we said it for years though. If sooner rather than later, the FA are going to have to act on the referee and the officials, the officiating in these games. They need to be training and being analysed and being put with the very, very, very best of them, because this is the top league of the women's game, you know. And I've even said that even if the FA then maybe drop down and say to especially top games, you know, where you have like United Chelsea's on Sky Sports, maybe have a League One style referee coming in just to referee, and then somebody that would normally take a match will be in the stands and seeing what this referee could do, you know, a professional referee in the men's game, you know. But then again, we've seen some horrible officiating even in the Premier League. So I suppose it's another subject for another day. But it could drag on and on this debate.
Yeah, well, we'll hit on it later, because I was likening it earlier on to a friend to like boxing officiating recently, Stu, and this is where I can resonate to it. Like in terms of it doesn't matter what funding's in the sport or what level, so to speak, you're playing. If you're showcasing on the pinnacle to a live audience or to potentially a wider audience to grow that sport or grow that class, so to speak, then you have to have the best in officials officiating, because otherwise it makes a mockery of the whole sport, no matter if it's women's, men's, amateur, you know, lightweight, featherweights, heavyweight. It doesn't matter. You've got to have judges who are compliant, in the rules of the game and able to put them into play. There were some shocking scorecards again this weekend, which you won't
By the
way, I'm going to hang myself anyway, because someone just said I look like Johnny FX.
Well, I'm going to be your best friend, Benny.
I didn't realise Johnny FX had a big ginger beard for a start.
I'm going to hold you back here, Benny. Okay, I'm going to hold you back like the friend I am. Ajmal, just calm down, my friend. Calm down. Come on, calm. You don't want to see a Benny when he's angry. The beard literally turns to fire. Honestly. Stu, let me come over to you, mate, on Bruno's contract. Look, I don't want to get into money wars, because you pay for footballers what you pay for footballers at the moment, but rumours have doubled, tripled in wage, 250 grand at the moment a week is what's being touted. Of course, Bruno's not going to turn down a pay rise. I get the points as well from the panel when it comes to, of course, the agent's going to be playing a big part in this. Why is Bruno on X amount when you've got this piece of shit, like on nothing? Like, because, and that could go for most of the United team at the moment, by the way. So when it comes to Bruno, should he be our best in class in terms of on the wages, but also is it a necessity to get him tied down?
I wouldn't give anyone a contract extension right now. I'd have waited till the summer. I'd waited to. We obviously know that there's a manager in place. That's obvious. That's how football works. You don't go offering contracts if there isn't something in place. But I wouldn't offer anyone a contract at the minute. And the thing about Bruno is he has been our top performer in the last 2 years. But you've got to decide what you want to do with him as a player. You've got to decide where he really fits into the side, where the new manager wants to play him, how the new manager wants to play him, and what we're going to do with squad balance. Because right now, Bruno's and Pogba, they're disrupting us rather than helping us. And unfortunately, that's been the case for the last 6 to 8 games. And it's a real problem for us. Now, people are saying that Ronaldo's disrupted us, and he has disrupted us in the past. But this is the problem when you have a group of individuals rather than a team. And this is what we've got. So I understand why fans would be clambering to give him a new contract. I can understand his agents, although I think he's got a lot, some brass balls going to the going to the board where we are in the current state of the season, asking for a pay rise. I get all of this. But it just epitomizes modern day football and how shambolic modern day football is. Because each and every one of us within our chosen career paths, you have to be not only consistent, but you've got to, be able to show value for 2 to 3 years when you get your pay rise. Because what they're doing, they're investing in you. And right now, and I'm going to get hammered for this, I know, but you're going to get hammered by just fans who don't get football. I'm sorry to say they don't. You've got to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, if we're going to give him a pay rise, you're going to have to build the team around him. You're going to have to remove some of the stalwarts that we like, and you're going to have to start looking at bringing the players in that are going to complement Bruno. Because right now, the only person that complements Bruno is himself. Nobody else is doing it. Pogba isn't doing it. Ronaldo's not doing it. It doesn't happen for Portugal when Bruno and Ronaldo play together. They much prefer Jota, believe it or not. And it's not happening with our two wider players, and it isn't happening with our fullbacks. He's constantly having to circle the pitch, trying to get the ball. And Benny's right about him with his passion, when he pulls on the shirt, etc., etc., etc. But people are saying that he's this leader. Well, he's not a leader because he's quite a selfish player occasionally. Now, actually, to get to the very top, you have to be a selfish player. You've got to have that single-minded ruthlessness about you, which he has. But he showed a little bit of, I think, disconnection between our starting 11 over the past 6 to 8 weeks. And to me, that's been the slight problem. So I get it. I understand it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for anyone until the summer, until whoever the manager is in place and has started looking at what he's going to do preparation-wise for the first game of the season, which I think is August 6th, first weekend in August, isn't it? Because of the World Cup. So that's just the way I view it. I know I'm going to get hammered for it, but, it is what it is.
Gigi said, I don't care about the money. It's about the principle. We shouldn't be given a new contract after such a terrible season. There's quite a few different comments in there. I'm going to try and get back them here. Andrew's put, he's been superb since he's joined. Maybe not this season, but he has set such a high standard. And I just want to get to one other here. Fred Woodward, you're right, mate. Hope you're good. I agree with Connor. This implies that a managerial decision is close to being made, and that moves now being put in place on the player side. See, Connor, I'm going to come over to you. I'm not saying that I disagree with you, but I'm not so sure in this whole thought process that this means a new manager knows or is in or is done, only because there's been rumours that apparently Bruno Fernandes has been in discussion about a new contract since July. Obviously, at that point, we didn't know that Ollie would end up where he's ended up, but clearly United have just naturally carried on the extension conversations, or maybe even were close to an extension being agreed before Ollie went, and are trying to get it done maybe before the new manager comes in. I suppose my issues now, if you want to hit on that as well, but my issue now is I agree with what Stu said there. If we're giving him this new contract, he needs to be the vocal point of Manchester United moving forward. He's shown all the promise that he can be that player. Do you think that we risk potentially, if we don't do that, this going the same way as potentially Pogba has gone with Bruno Fernandes? Because Pogba, let's face it, for all the flaws that we can say from him on the pitch, we never built the team around him.
No,
I think do that now for Bruno.
But I think the difference with Bruno is it's not really his fault that the others around him are on more money that shouldn't be. I think he's the money he's getting, or is rumored to be getting, is about where I think. It's still, anyone would say it's far too high, but that's just what football is now. If you're looking at the football market now, it's probably about right when you're looking at the rest of the Premier League in terms of what he's done the past 2 years. Now, yes, I know we've won nothing and everything else, but he has been one of the standouts. It's not just him in that side. So on that sense, I think it's difficult because, like I said, yes, Pogba, but the difference is, like I said, Pogba kind of didn't break it as such. It was Sanchez and, the likes of, but you know what I mean? It's not really Bruno's fault that the other players around him that are earning more than him. It's, he's earned that, whereas others maybe haven't. And just quickly touch on what you said there about a man. I don't think it necessarily means a new manager is ready and done, because it was the talk started last summer and it kind of developed into November, and then obviously Ollie leaving, so they had to look for interims. Then we all know what happened earlier this year with a former player of ours who's now off the field instance, obviously, that's taken over. So obviously United would have had to have dealt with that and everything else recently, involved with that. So now manager talk. So it's like I said earlier, though, I think Bruno would have signed regardless of who it is. I think they probably said, look, this is our shortlist. We're going for one of these 4 or 5, however many's on the shortlist. And then he's gone, right, okay, I could play under any of them, and then signed it. I don't think it means we've nailed on one person. I just mean they've probably given him a list and gone, right, this is our little shortlist. But I think he would
Bruno.
sign
You
anyway.
think Bruno's had insight to the next manager more than the new manager potentially has had insight to Bruno signing a new deal? I thought you meant the other way around, but you meant that way around a bit more.
Yeah, potentially.
Okay,
I think it's not. It's not exactly hidden knowledge who the front runners are, unless they throw some real, Steve Bruce come out of the bloody woodwork or something like that. I don't know, but it's pretty obvious who the front runners are, and you could probably name a couple more as outsiders. But it's not going to be anyone other than you could probably list 5 between us, and it's going to be one of those 5. So Bruno's probably aware of that, as I'm sure a lot of the players are. But the club have got to move quick, because we don't want to get midway into pre-season and players, still kind of umming and ahhing, don't really know what's going on, who's coming in, all that kind of thing. So
it won't get there, Connor, this year. It won't get there, mate, because of the World Cup. Simply, the World Cup has pushed the timetable forward to now, to basically now. So clubs are going to have to start negotiating with players that they want, because we're going to be in pre-season, I would say mid-June, maybe third week in June. I'd say we'll be mid-season then. And you're right, Connor, we can't afford to piss about this time, and nobody can, because if these players are coming and they want to go to Qatar, I'm talking, any of our players, any players that we're interested in, it's got to be done, and it's got to be done, I think, within the next 3 to 4 weeks, so that when the season's over, these players are already coming in. There was about $1.5 billion worth, I think it's dollars, of players available on free contracts in the summer. Pogba's one of them, Dybala, we all know who these players are. You've got to start negotiating. I actually do think we're probably in the final period before whoever it is puts pen to paper. And I think that'll be done in the next 7 days.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he has then got to start planning. Mm-hmm. And the obvious one for me, we all know, we all know we think it's going to be, he's obviously not going to be in Holland next season anyway. And so, it's Qatar. Qatar's pushed everything out the equation. Because when's it start? Is it the last week in November?
Mm-hmm.
World Cup. So the timetable's moved forward. So it's got to be done now, Connor.
Do you know what, though, Stu? As much as you're right about the whole planning's got to start right now, Ajax are still currently in a title battle. So as much as him coming in to agree this contract, he can't completely put his brain into the Man United job and into next season and the planning for next season and players and contracts, because ultimately he still is under contract at Ajax, regardless of whether he agrees in the next week or two. He's still got a very important job at Ajax. So that in itself sort of slows us down slightly. So as long as we can get it confirmed, but I genuinely think, and I mean, the day that season ends, he is going to have to be in Manchester and planning, because
absolutely,
it was a perfect explanation that really from you, mate. But the whole, the whole players and that are out of contract this summer, there's very many that United could be looking at. There's a lot of players in Germany and Spain that United could be looking at that could solve so many issues for us. There's a centre back who plays for, I believe, Freiburg, called Schlotterbeck. He would be a brilliant addition to us, and he would be a very, very good buy in terms of how much he'd cost. These are the kind of planning that we need to be looking at, because as much as Rudiger might be available for free,
well, yeah,
if he comes in for free, he's going to be looking at 300, 400 grand a week, because he's coming for a free transfer. So his agent will be pushing that right up. This is what I mean. These free transfers don't always they're not actually a free transfer. Instead of the transfer fee going to the club, they just go to the player, and it's obviously a lot less. But ultimately, Ten Hag won't be able to completely start planning straight away, because he has still got a very important job there.
Yeah, I agree. I would imagine, sorry to cut in, Cal, I would imagine that during his interview process, he's laid out his plans, he's laid out his vision, he's laid out his future. So I'd imagine from that point of view, he's maybe already there.
I'd like to hope then. Well, I'd like to hope with that. Yeah, like obviously with his plans and all that being laid out in some kind of interview process, you'd like to hope that the board and the football people who we have, however good they are, we're still kind of yet to see that, I think, but however good they are, if they've got his plan in place, It's now kind of down to them, if they're confident enough to say that Ten Hag's coming in, that they now need to act on his plan and go get whatever he might need, whether that be coaches, renewal of current players' contracts, releases of current players, and selling of current players that he doesn't want there, and possible transfers. They need to be laying out and looking at that plan and going, right, how do we need to get that plan executed perfectly to make us go back to as close as possible to winning trophies? Now, if that happens, and the likes of Darren Fletcher and John Murtaugh and all the others that are in charge, and possibly with Ralph Rangnick and possibly any other additions that he may bring in, that needs to be looked at and executed to how Ten Hag wants. Whether that will happen above the football structure, I don't personally think. But ultimately, that planning has got to be in place now from United. And then the manager can come in and just hit the ground running in terms of what he wants to then put in place.
I was going to quickly say to that, Cal, I agree. And I think the way that synchronises perfectly is actually with Ten Hag turning around and saying to the board, well, what are your plans? And when them two plans fit like a glove, that's when naturally that process becomes a heck of a lot easier. And
ultimately, though, Ben,
I agree with you, though. I don't know if they've got that mindset from the footballing department.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, those two plans will probably come together in some kind of way. And the football structure might 100% agree with it and want to put that in place. It's whether them people at the top who are unfortunately destroying this football club are willing to do that.
Then it comes down to what we believe, though, right? Because then we've got Richard Arnold coming out and saying, well, I want that footballing department to make the footballing decisions. And so to speak, I'll just sign that off. And then I know there's a peg above him as well. But ultimately, you would hope that with these new positions and the rejig and everything that's going on, that it will be achievable. And there's no one in better place right now, so to speak, than Ralph Rangnick to see the weaknesses and know how a manager like Eric Ten Hag potentially, or Pochettino, can come in and make a difference, improve and align them with the future vision. Because let's not forget, by the way, when Rangnick was first appointed, sorry, I know we've gone away from Bruno, but just quickly, when Rangnick was first appointed, the things that came out from the statement from United was Rangnick sold us his vision, and we believed in that in terms of where he wanted to take the club in this period and beyond. So they've been through this process before of looking at different people's visions and seeing who will go where. So I wonder, we all talk about Ten Hag. Is that the natural then position from the philosophy that Rangnick sold? And then where does that go? But then also, is there any concern? By the way, guys, I'll open this up to you guys. I think Rangnick done an interview, I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks ago, where he was asked about the managerial debate and asked about Ten Hag. And he said, no one's spoken to me about the manager. Do we believe that? If all these rumours are true that candidates are being interviewed, do we believe Ten Hag when he's saying, no one's spoken to me about the next manager?
I think if there's one thing that we've learned from Rangnick over the past few months is he is very open and honest in his interviews. But he also knows how to play the media quite well. So I think he knows what he's doing there, I think he probably is a little bit aware of what's happened. I think he's just trying to shut the media up a little bit. Ultimately, but just quickly going on to your previous point though, Ben, at the moment, Richard Arnold is only a couple of months into his new role, and at this moment in time, we are yet to see how he'll perform in that. So the only thing with that one is time will tell. But going back to Rangnick, I think he's probably a little bit aware, but currently with him being the manager, I don't see it as a bad thing that he's probably being left alone to do that side of his job. So he probably he's probably in the loop. But ultimately, we've still got a job to do this season on the pitch, and he is responsible for that as manager of the playing squad.
Don't forget that, guys. You're in your 2-week window now. You're in your 2-week international window, and that's it. This is the right window.
But surely, Stu, quickly, surely, though, the board haven't gone up to Rangnick after our final game on that Tuesday and gone, right, we're going to talk to a load of candidates next week. Now can we focus on this, and can you focus on being a consultant? Do you know what I mean? Surely Rangnick was always going to be a consultant as well. Surely there's more. And I do agree with Callum, by the way, what he just said about leaving Rangnick to do the job in hand. But if Rangnick is going to be this long-term consultant, surely, Stu, there's more conversations happening behind the scenes.
You've got to look at it from your own life, right? Your day job's business development, and yet you're currently sat in Kent radio station, right? There's 24 hours in a day.
Where's this going?
I'm just saying there's 24 hours in a day. So if Ten Hag or whoever it is, let's just say, if this person is keen as mustard to come to Manchester United, you make that time within your life to start planning for your next role. And it's the same with Raniak. Raniak is seeing us to the end of the season, and then he'll be planning for the next 2 years of his life, because we all do that every day. Every single one of us does that. You have to. And so in football is just, everybody comes up to and they love the transfer deadline day. They're working till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. If these guys are serious about wanting to come and manage Manchester United Football Club, he will find time outside of his working environment with Ajax. And our friend Raniak will do the same. And so will Murto, so will Richard Arnold. You have to do that. If you've got a common sense approach to planning, let's put it that way. I'm not saying we have as a club, because clearly we don't. But if you've got a common sense approach to planning, you will find the time and you will make the time. And that's the type of people we want in high positions within our club. People are able to look at the bigger picture and deal with it whenever it needs to be dealt with. And so that's the way I would look at it. We're in this 2-week window now. It's the time. If you don't do it in this 2-week window, you're going to struggle moving forward.
We slag off the club for not forward planning. I hope to dear God we're forward planning. Ranick knows what he's doing. Ralph knows what he's doing. He's not going to say to the press, "Oh yeah, I've been in discussions," because you know exactly what it's going to open up. Whole new kind of words. Press going, "Who is it? What is it?" And that's all you're going to have the press conference about. He's playing it smart. I believe he's been involved in the process all along. They'd have asked for his advice. They'd have asked for his opinions on different managers, whether that would be Ten Hag, whether that would be Pochettino, whether that would be Luis Enrique, whoever it may be, or whether that be Nagelsmann, whoever. They'd have gone, what's your opinion on this one, Mr. Ralph? They'd have gone, yeah, such and such and such an opinion, you know. And I hope this is the new Richard Arnold. I hope this is the new Manchester United way of getting back to putting the football inside first. It's like Gigi's saying about it. Do they respect Ranick? He wanted a DM, they didn't provide him with it. Solskjaer wanted a DM, didn't provide him with it. You know, that's another argument for another day. But I just hope, like, John Mert is a decent guy. I've known him. He's been heavily involved with the women's side. Can't speak highly enough of that guy, to be honest with you. Darren Fletcher's in a role that I know people question what is actually his role. Listen, let Darren Fletcher do what Darren Fletcher's doing, because along with Murta, along with Arnold, along with Ralph, they're all vital cogs to moving us forward. You know, it's bringing a new manager in. And yes, you can argue all day long. Ten Hag still got a job at Ajax. Luis Enrique still got a job at Spain. Pochettino still got a job at PSG. They're all in jobs. Or your three favourite candidates are all in jobs. But yet they've still got to find time to forward plan what they want for next season. Because let's not forget, if they're to remain in their jobs anyway, part of their jobs is to forward plan. What am I doing next season? You know, it's now, like Stu said, you're now in that sort of 2-week window now, an important 2-week window. Before the end of the season, before the end of the current club season, where this is where your hard work gets put in, whether you're staying at a football club, whether you're moving on to a new football club, whether discussions with United or whoever or whatever football team you're going to, if you're to move on, you always got to have forward planning. You always got to have discussions, and I should imagine banging emails and WhatsApp messages to and from, you know, however they keep in communication these days with a potential new manager, what they want, you know. And he'll have his ideas of players that he wants. He'll have ideas of players he wants to keep. So United might. So I know you said about Bruno earlier on, it's going on since for quite a long time, his contract negotiation discussions. And let's be fair, you always want to tie your best players down as soon as possible. And obviously improve the contract, because if you do want to move more in the future as well, you've got then to say, listen, he's under contract, he's worth this much. If you want to buy him, that's how much he's going to be. Because if you let his contract run down, like the Paul Pogba situation, and it keeps on running down, and you're losing them for nothing, you know. So we've got to be very wary of that as well. You know, we let Pogba's drag on and on and on and on and on, and and potentially losing him for nothing at the end of the season. Whereas if we could have got a bit of money for him, I'd rather have, sold him on a season or two ago. But it's one of those. I just think you've got to trust in the board now as well. I think many mistakes have been made. I don't trust the owners. I don't think they have an absolute Scooby-Doo about football, to be fair, and how to run a football club. But I do think we need to entrust in Richard Arnold. I think there's a lot of things different to Richard Arnold than it is to Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward's a businessman. He just knows sponsorship deals and figures. I think Richard Arnold's. Is it rugby league or rugby union or something? He's come from or something. So I think he'll put his teeth into it a bit more. He wants it, and getting John Mercer into that role is vital. Darren Fletcher in there as well, and get Ralph as well.
He's a sharp operator, Benny, Richard Arnold.
Exactly. That's what you need.
He's a sharp operator.
Can I just quickly add, because I know a lot of people say that these guys obviously were part of the rust that happened amongst Woodward's time, and that would be the counter argument from some people. But what I'd like to say from the opposite point of view is hopefully these people watched what's gone wrong as well over the last few years, and now they haven't got the person in charge of the overall, I don't want to call it a dictatorship, but the person who led the party to getting it so wrong throughout that time. Hopefully, fingers crossed that they can change for the better and they've learned from the mistakes and hope to look at a clearer picture moving forward. But just quickly, should we have a little bit of fun? Actually, no, quickly, Jamie, you come in. Say your piece on this conversation, mate. You've been sat there like a good boy for the past 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Exactly,
Go on, mate.
I've been quiet, behaving myself. There's nothing I can say that hasn't already said.
Oh, lovely. Cheers, mate. Go on, Jamie. Go on, Jamie. Go on.
No, I agree with what everyone said. My issue when it comes to when we're talking about managerial appointments is that while I'm hopeful that Rangnick will, when he steps up, will help run us like a football club again rather than a business and a brand, I still think that there's a lot of toxic rot that's been in there for far too long that's going to be hard to shake. That's why, as much as I want Ten Hag and as much as there are rumours coming out that it is going to be him, I still think it's going to be Poch. That cynical side of me just knows that it's going to be Poch. You see the mess that PSG are in at the minute, apparently, with the divide between their players. There's the reports, obviously, Mbappe is going to leave, Hakimi's going to leave, Poch is going to leave. And I just think that this idea of him being Premier League proven and stuff like that, he got to a Champions League final with Spurs despite spending any money for 18 months. These are things that they'll be going, oh, look at that. Here's a man that doesn't have to spend money. We don't have to do anything except pull out a marquee signing every 2 years or whatever with a fancy video. So I really hope that Rangnick steers in the direction of Ten Hag. I think what he's done with Ajax is beyond commendable. And then if it is Ten Hag, I want us to give him time. I know obviously people are always banging on about, we have to be competing for things, but we made we brought in Van Gaal, who was an absolute one of the top managers of his time. Didn't work. Jose Mourinho, again, Premier League proven, used to win everything, didn't work. We've had the club legend in, didn't work. We've got now Ralph Rangnick, who's this super builder of clubs, and it's not working. Realistically, with him as the manager, it's still not working. So there are issues there that need to be weeded out, and I think I just hope that whoever it is, especially if it's Ten Hag, we give him time.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah,
Andy Mittens released a report, by the way, saying that United have spoken to 3 managers over the past 2 weeks or whatever the time span's been.
Ten Hag, Poch, and Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce. God, Brucey. We would have got Mark Hughes, but he went to Brentford. What a shame. I think the other one's Luis Enrique, looking at reports today that are coming out, but it just doesn't fit the World Cup.
You're never going to get Enrique.
Well, the option would be to. And this is what Rangnick said when he came in.
Exactly.
That he would advise the club whether he should stay on for longer or whatever he said at the start. Do you remember that first press conference?
I do, yeah. I do.
So if we were really interested in him, and that interview went really well, and he was willing to join in January, do you go for the first half of the season, sort of with Enrique in and out, but Rangnick as well?
Ben, I'll tell you something. Mate. The De Gea fanboys are going to get a rude awakening if it is him, because he'll be kicked right to fucking touch, won't he?
Good, but no. I'm sick of this frigging excuse as well, because the Glazers will go for Luis Enrique, and they'll go, oh, well, yeah, it means we'll get the manager in December or January. That means we don't have to spend any money in the summer. We'll write off half the season again, and they'll save themselves a load of money. If Luis Enrique has told us that he won't leave his job until December because he's got a job with Spain, that is writing half the season off. He's a brilliant manager, Luis Enrique, but I don't think he's worth waiting until January for. When you've got the likes of Ten Hag who might be available, even frigging Pochettino. Enrique is a brilliant manager, and if I'm honest, if he was probably available now, I'd probably have him on par with Ten Hag.
Look
But
at what he's
on
got to
par
do.
with
wait
Ten
until
Hag.
January.
Look
Say
at what
again.
he's got to look
On
at
par
the
with Ten
players.
Hag.
Look
Luis
at the
Enrique
players
on
he's got to
par with
work
Ten
with, though.
Hag.
No, I prefer Ten Hag at the minute. You know that, but I'd have Enrique over Pochettino.
What's Luis Enrique's so whilst he's at Barcelona, what was his trophy haul like at Barcelona?
Wasn't he the manager during
It was
2015 when they just destroyed everybody? I'm sure he was.
Yeah, just
The,
after.
the problem
My
with
thing is
Enrique
that-
is you've got to look at. Sorry, Jamie. You've got to look at the players he's worked with.
Yeah, this was
Look
my
at the
point.
players at Barcelona. Look at the players at Spain, and then look at fucking our team. You can't work miracles like that. It's not for me. You've got to bring somebody in who's and Ten Hag has developed squads. We need people. We need a manager to come in and redevelop. I'm not saying about rebuilding, but just redevelop. But you need a ruthless guy who's going to turn around and say, you, and you, your contract's torn up, go. You're gone. You're gone. And that's got to happen. Now, it won't, but it's got to happen. And then you go in, you look at what we've got to sub the squad out with 2 or 3 under 23s. We've all got an idea who would like to promote from the under 23s. And then you pad it up, not with fucking
Stonebridge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having a play. Sorry, Stu. I am listening.
More like Brick Bridge.
Yeah, not with Mbappe, not with Dybala, or not with any of those idiots, posers. Start bringing good quality pros into the club. And then if you want to sprinkle some stardust, do it that way.
Right, Stu, can I play devil's advocate? Boys, let me play
go
devil's
for it.
advocate for a minute. The reason why no one wants Pochettino because he's won nothing. Luis Enrique is, you could say, a proven winner at the top level under Barcelona. Especially if you look at him and Ten Hag's or any of the other managers' record and put them together. Now, I understand what you're saying about building a team. Sort of what I said in the group chat earlier about the hey, surely there's balance to this in some ways. Like ultimately, if you want to get back to winning ways quicker, is Luis Enrique the right way to go? If you want to build something for maybe a longer, but then is there a longer term in football? This is what's really hitting me on the head at the moment. Where United are at the moment, we're not challenging with this side, no. So there's got to be some sort of rebuild. But are we so far away? Like I can't even.
My quick answer to that is a very, very quick answer. It really is a quick answer. Ten Hag, Delit, sold for 75 million to Juventus. Frankie de Jong, 75 million to. That's what he does. That's what we need. So he's gone out and he's developed young talent. That's what we need. You can get and I think that's what you were getting at, Jamie, if I'm not mistaken, part of the thing. If you go and then, Luis Enrique wants to bring in, and I know, Cal, you like Danny Olmo. I'm not a fan of him at all, but, he's got a reputation, hasn't he? But Enrique could go in and bring a Danny Olmo in, or he could go in and bring a fucking, the Spanish Laporte. Do me a fucking favour, isn't it? Or something along those lines. We don't need that. We need somebody who can identify, along with Ranić, and that type of ilk of coach, of manager, that can identify the players, develop them, and make sure they hit the ground running. And that's my worry with Enrique, and to an extent, Pochettino.
Nice quick answer, Stu. Go on, Jamie.
Sorry. Yeah.
So my thing with Poch, like when you were saying about it's because he's not won anything. My thing isn't about.
I didn't say that's what you were saying. I was saying in general.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I'm saying that for me, like him not winning anything isn't a problem. It's more like his. And I'm going to be very careful what I say because I do rate him. Don't get me wrong, I rate him as a coach. Like I do rate what he did with Spurs. But then you have to sort of question like the standards there that you weren't backed by your owners three transfer windows, I think it was. And you took them to a Champions League final and they still didn't really back you. I know obviously they ended up spending, 60 million on Ndombele and stuff like that. But for me, like, there has to be someone there, like Stu was just saying, there has to be someone there that's calling, whether they do it publicly or not, I don't care. But there has to be someone there that's holding the board to account. They're saying, look, this player is available. They fit the mold. They're the right fit for the club. And I want you to do everything. Go out and buy them. Like, I don't care, like, what it takes. Just get me this player. And if they don't do that, they need to learn very quickly that it's not acceptable. And just with what Stu was saying about Ten Hag, again, I completely agree. It's about identifying those talents across Europe before they become these players that end up 80, 100 million. You think, like, if you'd have bought sort of like Tchouaméni, like, he's all the rage at the minute, he's a very, very popular footballer, and you just know full well that in the summer there'll be people in for him, and he'll be, 50 million, let's say. You spot him 12 months ago, he's still the same talent, and you pick him up for 4 mil, don't you? You pick him up under the radar, and that's something that I don't think we've been doing recently. When Jadon Sancho wanted to leave Manchester City, why if we were equipped with what certain clubs have, like, again, I've mentioned Leicester before, like, I actually love Leicester's setup. Leicester's scouting department are amazing. When Sancho was unsettled at City, we should have been doing everything we could to go, here's a kid that's an absolute top class baller. Yeah, fair enough, maybe he's not going to get the game time that he'd get for Dortmund. But why were we not, why were we not banging his door down going, you don't have to move anywhere, pal, you can just come and play for us? We don't do that. We don't act like a serious football club. We wait for players to become marketable, fashionable, and to become these big names. When was the last time we signed somebody that was a sort of a hidden gem that everyone wasn't raving about for a decent price? And again, the fact that Daniel James is the only player post Fergie that we've made a profit on is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sort of feels like we've got three options here, or the board have three options. I think it goes back to what you said earlier on, Cal, and I think, Benny, you hit on it as well. Well, what the board want, how are we moving forward as a club? I think we've got Pochettino, who's someone that United will basically be given another chance to showcase themselves at a massive club, see if they've got it or not. You've got Ten Hag, someone who you would need to put your trust in to build for the future. And then you've got someone in Luis Enrique who potentially would come in and do it a little bit quicker. I suppose for United, it's about which avenue they go down, and it's a tricky
I don't
decision.
see why Luis Enrique could do it quicker. But just to go back
He's
to
got the
what
track
you said
record.
about the long-term thing in football, there is a long-term thing in football if you have a football structure. Like Jamie coming to that point about the hidden gems. City do it all the time. Chelsea do it. Liverpool do it. Arsenal, to an extent, have done it now. Like, these clubs do it because they've got some form of structure. Maybe Arsenal to a much lesser extent, but City definitely do it because I think they've got 3 directors of football alone. Like, Man United don't do that because, like, we probably a bit of a bad example, but if we'd have signed Harry Maguire from Hull for 18 million quid instead of Leicester, we wouldn't be saying the stuff we say about Maguire now, because that pressure on Maguire now, as well as the captaincy in his poor form, is that £80 million, and he was never an £80 million player. But because we signed him after he signed a 5-year contract at Leicester, he became an £80 million player because Leicester maximised the value of their asset. That's why. If United had any due diligence about them and had any kind of football structure, we recognise at that point a fairly good or very good centre-back, and at 18 million quid, we sit here now going, what a brilliant signing. And if I'm honest, Maguire probably doesn't have half the shit on his head now like he does at the minute. So, and going back to the long-term thing, there is, because, like I say, if United have that and United have this broad vision of what they want this club to be like in 20 years' time, they set out a structure, they set out a plan, and they set out a united way, whatever that has been for however long. If they want to continue that, then they go and get a manager that will play that and sign players that will play like that and fit into that system. And they will do it for 20 years to keep that long-term value there. Instead of just going, right, we'll get Mourinho now because he might win us something. That's not work. Right, we won't get Mourinho, we'll bring in Solskjaer. Hopefully that'll work and it'll get fans on side. It worked for a couple of years. Ultimately, it ended quite badly because the players are all pieces of shit. But it was the same with Van Gaal. Hopefully he's a great manager. Hopefully he'll bring in some success. He got us an FA Cup. Brilliant. But after that, it was honestly, people were falling asleep in Old Trafford. Like, it's not worked because it goes bigger than the manager. These people at the top who make these decisions at the club, who hopefully have now changed the ways now because there's new people in charge and there's a bit of a football structure, but we're still yet to see that because time will only tell if they're successful. And at this point now, we don't know if they will be. They might be in 5 years' time, but in 5 years' time, they might be just as shit. I don't know much about John Murtough. As far as I'm aware, from his job that he's done so far, he's done fairly well. But it's still not enough at the minute because he's not been in that role for long enough. But the only way we can judge these people in these roles is to give them the time. And ultimately, that is part of the manager as well. If we go get Ten Hag, it's because hopefully whoever's in charge, so let's say off the top of my head, John Murtough goes out and says, I want United to play like this. Who do we want? Ten Hag. Right. I know he plays football this way, so our scouting network now needs to go identify all these players that will fit into Ten Hag's system. If that happens, then all of a sudden we've got this long-term plan so that when Ten Hag was to, hypothetically, if Ten Hag was to leave in 10 years' time, we then bring in another manager who plays like that and who then players can fit into that manager's system, just like with City. When Pep Guardiola leaves, personally, I think Ten Hag would be perfect for City because he would literally slot right in and City would just keep on rolling perfectly for them. My only worry with Ten Hag is we haven't got the structure at the moment, but I'm hoping with some new recruits we will do. But we have a long-term plan by doing this. And ultimately, it's by copying what City have done. And it's horrible to say that. But because of our owners, they have let every single part of the club rot away and almost die and let our rivals just overtake us. We're 5 years away from Man City and Liverpool at this point. And the only way we accelerate that and get that to a year or two is by backing Ten Hag, by bringing in the right people above him and getting rid of these owners. Because I genuinely believe we won't win a thing regardless of the manager with these owners because the culture they have created at the club at the very top has filtered down all the way down to the players and now it's come out into the fans because the fan base is toxic. The players don't give a shit. I don't care what anybody says. They don't care because you can see it on the pitch. I was going to get into this with the women, but that was the one thing I noticed more than anything. Those women cared today. The fact that they walked around the entire pitch, I couldn't believe that. Connor said, oh yeah, they usually walk around the entire pitch after the game and clap us. I was like, what? Why did they do that? Men don't do that. If we win, the men might go around the centre circle and give us a quick clap. Ronaldo fucks off down the tunnel. These men could learn a lot from that women's team, and the bloody owners could learn a lot from the fans.
Well, let me just touch on something. There's a bit of an elephant in the room here, fellas, which nobody talks about and nobody's ever spoken about. And the Glazers took over in, what was it, 2008? Something like that?
2005.
2005. They had 8 years of Sir Alex Ferguson. 8 years of having to stay away from the football club because Fergie ran everything. And they haven't adjusted from there. It's a big elephant in the room. I know it is. And I understand people will be looking at it and saying, you don't know what you're talking about. But if you take a step back, think about it logically, that's what happened. We all know Sir Alex ran everything, the whole football club. Forget the board, he ran everything. Richard Arnold, Benny, you were
quite
talking
literally
about.
everything.
Yeah,
every
he
single
was in
thing.
London. He was in London, growing Manchester United to what we are today with the sponsorship machine. Richard Arnold did that. He used to head up the marketing team as a marketing director. Then he went to be group managing director. We haven't moved on. We haven't adjusted since Sir Alex. And the fan base hasn't adjusted since Sir Alex. And Cal's right. We need to stop today. Stop. Rip it up. Whoever comes in, Ten Hag, whatever, allow them to redefine Manchester United. We can't have a Manchester United way right now. It's impossible. Somebody has got to come in and redefine it.
But Stu, is it a manager that comes in and redefines it? Or is it the footballing director that comes in and redefines it? Because that seems to be the way that clubs are going at the moment. Instead of the manager being the one, it's a philosophy that sort of Cal was talking like that sort of filters down from that technical football director role down to the rest of the club.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture, Ben. Because Cal's right. I would if I was Manchester United, I'd be having a technical director or a sporting director for the Americas. I'd have one for Europe, one for the UK, the club, and I'd have one for the African region or Australasia.
And then I'd have scouts who
And then you'd have scouts
report to those.
That's what I would do from a technical director's point of view.
They probably have that for a brand perspective anyway. They've probably got brand managers for the US, brand managers for Australia. And of course, they have brand
managers, but they don't have the footballing.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the key. So if I'm Ten Hag, and I'm equally, by the way, as Phil really well put it the other night, I'm interviewing Manchester United.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what the structure is. So you're interviewing me, asking me about my football philosophy. Forget that for a minute. I want to know the structure. Show me a flow chart or whatever you want to do it. What's going to be the structure? Where do I fit in? What is my responsibility? What latitude have I got? Where are you going to squeeze me? Where am I going to be allowed to do? I want 5 years. I'm not getting sacked between, I need these 5 years, and then let's redo it. Because if you don't back somebody, it's not, the old saying about stick your eggs in one basket, blah, 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 blah. If you do not back somebody and give them the opportunity to show you what they're all about, and it takes time. And sometimes you've got to stick your fingers into your ears to the fans and say, be quiet. You've got to allow somebody to grow. And if you don't allow them to grow, the club won't grow. And people don't like it because everybody says fans have got to have a voice. Some clown was on Talk Sport, wasn't he, from Must the other day. Oh, we've got to have a voice. We've got to do this and we've got to do that. Nobody cares. Right now, the club don't care about us. They shouldn't care about us right now. They should care about the rebuilding and the redevelopment of our football team. Mm-hmm. That's the most key thing. And if we show a little bit of patience and not argue about who we think's the best goalkeeper and blah, 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 and allow this new flower, whatever you want to call it, to bloom, we might be somewhere in 5 years' time.
Oh, Stu, you're talking about us not having a debate about the best goalkeeper. You're the one that starts it every bloody week.
Well, that's because all I get is, and
don't start it again.
I'm going to quickly. Andrew Talbot's come on. De Gea has been our best player. But goalkeepers isn't about shot stopping. It's just a small part.
If you were Ten Hag,
who said that?
Would your first question, if you were Ten Hag, Stu, be to the United board? Can I sell De Gea? Would that be your first question if you were Ten Hag?
It wouldn't be can I. It would be I am. It's
not even a question. It's a statement.
I am selling De Gea.
Opening statement from Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'd love to be a fly in the wall in those meetings. By the way,
right, quickly.
I know everyone's got to rush off, and everyone's had quite a long day, especially those that went to watch the women's side play. So Connor, let me start with you. Old Trafford today was buzzing. Our video, by the way, that we put up after Katie's penalty has had ridiculous views. I think. Is it her dad's who's commented on it, Benny, you said? I mean, is it a dad or brother?
Yeah, he's quite retweeted it for us.
Yeah, amazing. Like, what was it like today sitting there? Because you go week in, week out, didn't you, Connor, and watch the guys at watch the girls at watch them around the UK as well. What was that like today, seeing them on the pitch at Old Trafford?
It's going to be interesting because you're going to get three different perspectives here. Because you're going to get, like, from the ones that were there today, because you're going to get somebody who started going this season, you're going to get Benny who's been there since day one, and you're going to get Callum for his first experience. So you're going to get three unique takes here. Not gonna lie, I put this on Twitter earlier. I've only started going this season, but it was kind of like a proud moment watching them walk out. It was just for them to have that feeling that we all want as fans. We'd all love to walk out on the pitch of Old Trafford and score a goal, in front of the Stretford end and celebrate like that. And I think it didn't start off great. We went 1-0 down after 3 minutes, and I thought, oh, God's sake. I turned to Alexi next to me. I thought, oh, no, I hope I've not convinced you all this time to come to a women's game and we're going to lose, like at Old Trafford. I thought, oh, cry. But, we got back into the game. I think the occasion, and I knew it would anyway, the occasion, I think, got to us in the first 20-odd minutes or so, which it was always going to do. But after that, we settled down and we just did what we do. The women's team are a good side. We've got some really good players in this side. Alessia Russo scoring twice again. I mean, she's just unbelievable. And yeah, it was really, really good to see. And like Cal said earlier, the players, because it wasn't just Cal, Alexi said the same to me as well, that, surprised that the players come around and clap everyone. And Benny will know this as well. They do. Every game. They'll chat to you after the game. If you stand, they'll talk to you about the game. And, if you speak to Skinner afterwards, he'll always stop and chat with you. And talk to you about where it went wrong and all this kind of thing. That's just what they do. And that's why I say to people, the connection you have with the players is completely different. You don't get that with the men's side, certainly not recently. So yeah, really, really good occasion. Worth waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning for me and a long old drive home because there was fucking just traffic, just everything. It took me nearly 5 hours to get home as well, which weren't great. But no, it was really, really good day. It was good to see the devs as well because obviously they won the Academy Cup, come on at half time. They obviously got their moment. And yeah, it was a decent. I think the official attendance was 20,100 and something. So even if a couple hundred of those come to Lee at least once or twice in the next few games, it's worked. It's got a few more fans across, so it's done its job. And I was just really happy for them. Like I said, the win helped. I'm just glad they got that moment. Katie Zellum, as the song goes, one of our own, big United fan. Alessia Russo, massive. To fair, the whole squad, probably United fans. To score in front of the street, it's all of our dreams, isn't it? To walk out and do that, and they got it. So yeah, I was really, really happy for them. And obviously where we were in J stands, it was electric, like it always is. When you've got Nat and Anthony and people like that stood near you, they're going to make noise. So yeah, it was really, really good. I'm really happy for them today.
Yeah, over 20,000 at Old Trafford as well, which is amazing. Let's hope that we can get a few extra games next season apart from the one, and obviously get more fans in the stadium. Benny, I'm going to come over to you next because there's been some great pictures online of Rosso. She scored a brace today, right? And obviously the captain as well as Zellum, who also scored from the spot, who we put the video up about in their Manchester United shirts as kids. I mean, I think the one of Zellum as well was at a Manchester United academy. I mean, let's face it, the Manchester United women's team might be new, but Manchester United have been working throughout the UK with academies for quite a long time in both boys and girls grassroots football. And I think Zellum's always spoken about how she used to play at the academies and she used to play grassroots football, and obviously at a lower level as well, came to United, obviously, and has gone through the leagues as well. So for these girls who are massive Manchester United fans playing at Old Trafford, it's just been a dream come true for them today, hasn't it? And I think people forget about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's not just Katie Zellum's, Ella Toon, you got Kirsty Hansen, Millie Turner. They all came from the Man United Academy. United have always produced really, really good players of high quality. There's a lot that's come through. Izzy Christensen's another one. She's Everton player at the minute. She came from the United Academy as well. And unfortunately, up until very, very recent past, they've all had to move on to different clubs because there was not a senior side for them to go and play for. So they've had to go for like Liverpool and City and all that. But a lot of them all came back as soon as United came calling, came knocking the door. A lot of them dropped a division as well to play. A lot of them dropped out the Championship to come and play. Out the WSL to come and play the Championship. Katie Zellum left Juventus to come and play back in the Championship for Manchester United. So obviously, a lot of these girls came from the academy where we want to go home now. That's where we can see ourselves. And you can see the absolute what Carl was on about earlier on. He couldn't believe that they walk around the pitch afterwards. A lot of them have got that United mentality about them. It's a different ball game. They will stop and chat you off the game. It's very reminiscent when I was a kid and we used to be able to go to the cliff and then the players stop and chat, used to sign autographs and what have you. But that became a closed shop as soon as we went to Carrington, and obviously the men's game moved on the way it did. But the good thing about the women's game is that it's like an old school football and atmosphere. They're always happy to sign autographs, post some pictures. I know Ella Toon and Alessia Russo both at the end with the two last ones out there, still in and around the tunnel, making sure they get every kid's whatever the kids wanted signed and whatever photos they wanted, which is good to see. It's a brilliant sort of all round atmosphere in the women's game, and they do care. They're very, very passionate about the shirt, I would say. Where I think it's gone wrong in the men's game, where it's all about, mainly about money now, isn't it? In the women's game, there's not that kind of money. So a lot of them, as I said, they dropped divisions to come to United originally when they came back. And it's now sort of paying off for them now. We're challenging for Champions League football still. we could be the only United team that play Champions League football next season. You know, and they deserve it. They really, really do. It's Connor mentioned Alessia Russo. You mentioned Alessia Russo as well. She's half a player. She is, man. Honestly, Ella Tooney, as everyone calls her. She's a baller as well. For people that have not seen her play, she's obviously from United Academy, went to City, then came back to United. She's a proper United player. She goes away from home as well. Season ticket holder for Man United, Ella Toon. I've seen her in plenty of away ends when the women's team are not playing. So someone really passionate about Manchester United. The parents are passionate. They'll come up and talk to you. We had the captain's mum and dad come and talk to me and my son before the game earlier today. Took a little bit of time out of their busy day to come and say hi, which is unbelievable. You don't get that in the men's game either. We mentioned about the under-21s winning the FAWSL Academy Cup, and they all posed for pictures with my son and with Alex, who's another child in a wheelchair. My son got to hold the trophy as well for them pictures. You just don't get that in the men's game anymore, and I think it's very important to realise that there is a massive difference between the women's and the men's game. There's not the money in the women's game that completely ruins it, you know, that they don't look at. I'm not saying that all the male footballers, you know, I'm not saying there is plenty that, like one matter, for example, that will stay out for a while to sign autographs and post pictures or whatever. But it's like what Callum said, Ronaldo just fucks off down the tunnel half the time, win, lose or draw. That guy's the first one down the tunnel without applauding his fans. These girls do a lap of honour, if you like, you know.
Yeah, Benny, that picture, by the way, of the devs with your little lad was amazing. What a lovely little moment for him. What a lovely picture. And I saw, by the way, you mentioned about Ollie's daughter being there. I saw some pictures today that Ollie was at.
Ollie was there as well. Obviously, Kana was in the background of that. You can tell which one was Kana. She's taller than anybody.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Benny, can I just ask you a quick question, actually, because I'm quite because I haven't actually asked you yet. Obviously, you were sat away from where we were today. Obviously, we were all in J stand, mate. Just what the atmosphere sounded like from, because obviously you were opposite us, how the sound kind of translated, because obviously it's going to sound loud where we are, because there's, you know, I don't know how many were in J stand, 100 or so. And obviously, as you know, we make noise wherever we go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what it sounded like around the ground.
It was really good, mate. It was really good. I mean, the Everton fans, I know we sort of were disappointed with the Everton sort of their take of allocation. They don't really get that many fans going to the women's game, but even they made a decent atmosphere, to be fair. Came with some decent songs. But, you know, on the whole, mate, it was a brilliant atmosphere. Honestly, you know, even those that don't sing around like where we were, like there wasn't very many singers, but, you know, just see kids excited, boys, girls, and of various different ages, just getting into them and loving. So a lot of them have gone for their first ever experience at Old Trafford, just loving it. And we've gone back to this thing last week, which was all about Old Trafford being knocked down and all this lot. And it again today reminds you of still, even though the stadium's in a state of disrepair that it is, it's still got that wow factor. I saw loads of kids today looking at it and going, "Wow." You know, it still has that wow factor. It still has that aura about it. And I think a lot of the players are like that as well. I looked at when we was warming up, there's a player called Gabby George for Everton. And Gabby George, for people that don't know, is Jesse Lingard's cousin. So she's related to Jesse Lingard. She's obviously a United fan as well. She's been at United away ends as well. Was at City away end and all, Gabby George, when we got beat by City in the Premier League. But anyway, going back to her, even she looked around and went, wow. You know, it's that wow factor, you know. She's been there plenty of times as a fan, but when you're on that pitch, I saw her, she uttered the words, wow, this is amazing, you know.
Can I talk about one excited child in the crowd? Callum, well excited. What's he singing like, by the way, Connor? Is he a good singer? I like to think that Callum can belt out a number when he needs to.
Yeah, Cal was joining the chance. I had to pre-warn Cal about the swearing in some of the songs because that's forbidden. But
that was a bit of a surprise, if I'm honest.
But 10 minutes later, you get a dodgy ref decision. You're thinking, you're straight back to football mode, aren't you? So,
go on, Cal. What was that like today?
I mean, it was a good day. Don't get me wrong. The quality was better than I expected, if I'm honest, which is probably a bad thing on my part. But it was a good day. It was a nice day out. It was good to actually support a team that give a shit, I think. all in all, it was just a nice day out. It was nice to see so many people there. It was nice to see so many people with smiles on their faces and just having fun. It was nice to see the players just kind of give it their all and make the effort, and especially appreciate the fans, and in particular, obviously where Nat and Anthony and all that were, where we were. Obviously, you know, they were very vocal in expressing their gratitude towards Natalie and them, because they were singing and screaming and shouting and making the voices very vocal all the way through the game, which is obviously always good to know. Just all in all, it was a really good day. The no swearing thing is an issue, though, because I am terrible at football games.
What's the no swearing thing? Sorry, what is the no swearing thing?
It's not that you can't swear, but some of the songs, Benny will probably be able to give you a shorter background, but it's like that some of the songs have been adapted slightly.
Yeah, so basically, the Nit Nat Paddy Wat song, Ben, where it says, "Why don't City fuck off home?"
Yeah.
It was, "Why don't City go on home?" Now, I don't know what the reason for the sort of no.
I could tell you really quickly, it's because it's been we did sing that originally, the fuck off home and all that, but the women's game's a lot more of a family friendly atmosphere, as you can tell.
Yeah, okay.
More children around, so the club asked us, can we just change the lyrics, and then we ended up changing all the lyrics, took the swear words out, and the club were happy. Basically.
Funny thing is, that's what I sing to my daughter anyway. Whenever I'm doing it, when I'm ever singing that to my, because my daughter's like, "Nick that very give a dog a bone," and I'm like, "Why don't City go on home?" And then it's like, "Yeah, go on, Cal."
Yeah, I mean, I just whenever I get told off by the landlady in the pub that I go in for screaming and shouting at the telly. And
is that to do with the chanting, not the other thing?
I don't know what you're alluding to, mate. Yeah, so when I'm in the pub, especially when I'm in the ground, because I'm literally screaming at the players so that they hear me, to know my distaste for them all. But yeah, that surprised me. But other than that, it was a really good day. The pie I wanted at the ground wasn't available again, though. That annoyed me.
What flavour?
I had to have a chicken bolty pie, not a chicken and mushroom. So that annoyed me.
Chicken bolty
should be in a pie. Chicken bolty.
Yeah,
Cal was this close as well, by the way, to getting a beer into the ground. He managed to get to his seat with the
I
beer
walked
as well.
in, and
So
my
close.
brain just didn't think, and I walked right through with a beer in my hand, and obviously you're not allowed. And I went to my spot, and the steward came up to me and said, "Can you take your beer back out?" And I went, "Oh shit!" And it because I saw Natalie as I walked in, and I saw Anthony, and then I saw Connor, and I sort of just, my mind just went blank, and I walked in, and I thought, "Oh shit, yeah, you're not allowed beer in at Old Trafford, are you?" So yeah, I got in a bit of trouble for that, but oh well.
Well, good day, though. Stu, you followed the women's team as well. Just quickly, final word from you. All in all, a fantastic day for women's football today.
Yeah, it was good to see the girls stuff at Old Trafford. I watched the game from home before I got dragged out to Mother's Day dinner, like everybody else did, I would imagine. And I said to the guys while you were doing what you were doing before we came on air that Russo's first goal, that header, was phenomenal.
Yeah, superb.
I would have been proud of that. The way she had to arch her neck and her body with three players around her to pop that over the keeper's head. And by the way, I thought their keeper was superb. The Everton keeper today, I thought she was excellent. She was commanding. She was a really, really good keeper, but two really good headers. And I thought Zellum controlled the game when she got into it. The pitch was way too big for the girls, though. It's a shame, but the pitch was way too big. And we didn't utilise it enough at the very beginning. Maybe that was a bit of stage fright or not, but one of the things that the girls do better, so much better than the guys, is they move the fucking ball quick. They get it.
Do you know what, Stu? Can I very quickly
move.
interrupt on that point?
Yeah, go for it.
I actually said to Connor about that. I didn't think they moved the ball quick enough today. I felt like, I don't know whether it was because the pitch was different, because I felt like on some of the passes, especially in the final third, they just lacked that little bit of pace to get through. And I do wonder what. I wonder if it was the pitch, if it was the occasion, if they just weren't getting enough on the ball. It got better as the game got on, but I did wonder why that was going on.
They do like power, obviously, in their legs, but for the first goal, the speed of play was phenomenal, actually. And you probably wouldn't have seen it for where you were, but the speed of play, the actual reverse pass in, and then the cross. I think it was Blundell popped the cross in for Russo. I think it was Blundell.
It was Honor. It was Jackie.
It was Jackie to Honor. That's it. And then Russo said it was absolutely superb. But Zellum shows a quality. And I won't go into it too deep, Ben. But I was raving about Zellum and Thor the very first game I went to see. Connor and Benny know this, and they were playing Zellum out of position. Today, she was still slightly out of position. She wasn't as vast as what she should be. But the bigger pitch and Jackie, to be fair, just demonstrated their ability as players. And so no, great day for the girls. Great day for the girls. I was delighted.
Can I
couldn't have been there, but Mother's Day kills you.
Showing the quality of our content, by the way, Anthony and Jonathan done a preview show on here in the build up to it, and Anthony made a point of actually saying that, and it comes back to your points, Stu. If Zellum gets hold of that midfield, United will, in the end, cruise to victory. And from what you were saying, then Zellum got hold of the midfield, and it was good.
Fabulous players, Zellum. Brilliant player. Just doesn't get the recognition. And Connor and Benny will tell you all that, but we won't go into that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you all had a good day out today. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know we've gone on a bit late. I'm absolutely knackered. I need to get home. And next week, by the way, whether I do the show or not, it will be off the back of my stag do on Saturday night. So I will be sat here in bits next week. I'll probably still be wearing the tutu.
The week after, I'll be back from Aintree. So I'm going to the Grand National. 2 weeks' time, I think it is, isn't it?
Okay. Have you got your posh hat?
Well, I'm just going to wear it.
Only posers wear posh hats on.
Yeah.
Oh, is it pink boots or no?
No, stuff like that. Skinny jeans and a jacket.
Skinny jeans.
Yeah.
I'll pay money to see that.
Oh,
well, the thing is, we bought these tickets. We're not with the Great Unwashed. We're up at some kind of.
We're not with the Great
Unwashed, mate. You're going to Liverpool. Everybody's the Great Unwashed.
Oh, true. Yeah, that is true.
I've never ever heard that phrase.
I think we've got a bit of a we've got a bit of a place which is right by the Guinness tent, I'm told. So I'll be well happy. And I don't know what I'm doing. So if anyone's got any tips for me, please let me have them.
I'll send you some, Stu.
Can we go through them on next week's show? That'd be fun to go through them on next week's show because I don't know anything.
Because I seriously, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to betting.
I'll send you a website that I use.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, well, hold on. Do you win?
How's dodgy dealing? I've just told you about why he usually gets kicked out of the pub.
On a couple of days at Cheltenham, they got every single tip. They either placed or won the race. So it's quite a decent website.
How much did you make from Cheltenham, Cal?
Oh, I only put like £1 on each race, so not a lot. But if you put like a tenner on, you'd probably win a decent amount. This
is another conversation for another day, by the way. But do you remember ages ago when you used to do accumulators and you used to make decent money back from them? And now you make absolutely jack shit from a decent eightfold. You make nothing. I
never do them because they all go the wrong way. If I ever put United on to win, they lose.
Oh, I've never ever bet on United ever. Can't do it. Can't also wear it. Well, no, I can. To be fair, I have to wear a Red United shirt on match day as well. Can't wear an away shirt. Superstitious.
I don't know where we are that weekend. Actually, I don't know if we're home or away. Yeah.
Well, look, we'll end it there, boys. Thank you so much. It's been fun again. A nice little discussion actually tonight. It went in a different direction. It was good. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hit subscribe, hit a like on the video as well. Come back and see us next Sunday at 10 o'clock. We should all be here. And loads of content during the week as well. We've got about 8 shows going out next week, so it's all really busy.
I want to know why Cal's got himself back on the tactical preview. What's going on?
It's above me, that decision. As Cal says, there's people above the managers that make these decisions for the direction of.
You are literally the owner of this channel. Shut up, Ben.
I make all the bad decisions around here.
Exactly.
Cal is brilliant. Do you want to know the real truth about it, Stu?
Go on.
Cal had a decision and he said he loves you so much that he wants to appear on that show with you all the time.
Nice one, Cal. Thank you, Cal.
He's not denying it either. Look, he knows it's true.
I actually, I'm making my first appearance on John's show on Thursday. Yeah,
you're not Stu. I'm on that and all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that as well.
Well, if you're doing that on Tuesday, have fun with that because it's on Thursday. Anyway,
but don't worry about it because Connor doesn't want me on any of his shows anymore. He hasn't asked me for 2 weeks.
Oh, he's bang out of order, isn't he, that Connor?
Well, I've got Benny. Sorry, Stu.
I'm only kidding.
What's going on here? We're all making like partnerships. I feel like the odd one out. You've got Connor and Benny. You've got Cal and Stu here in this new romantic day. I'm just sat here like Jamie left me hours ago.
We need our own show, don't we, Cal? Really, me and you, pal.
We really do. I keep saying this.
You could call it the never-ending Talking Reds or something.
Why don't you two take over on the record? I don't have the time to do it anymore.
I'd do that. I'd be well happy with that.
We'll do it on the record.
I'll give you the information. And then you
If you want me
guys
to
can
do that,
record
then
it.
I'll happily do it, but you'll have to teach me how to use StreamYard.
Well, who's
if you've
going to
got- if
host
you-
it then?
Yeah, Carl can.
I'll host it then, yeah.
Yeah,
People
Carl's
in
all
the
I've got to
comments
do
are
is
getting a
say, well-
real insight into our group chats right here on how shows are made.
Are we actually doing this? I'm well happy for you to record a show and we'll put it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do
I'm
it.
well happy to do that. It just
And if the
depends when it is,
majority want
obviously.
more, we can give it more. And if
Yeah.
I then decide to ignore them, we can ignore them.
Yeah, I might just do a quick. Ben, do a quick call or something with me tomorrow and teach me, like, set up a fake link and teach me how to do it. And then
I'm
I'm
sure
happy to do that.
It's a shame we can't get on the record going, wasn't it? Really, but it was time, wasn't it? It was just it's a time.
My life's gone ridiculous.
No,
As is
yeah.
yours. I know you're really busy at the moment, but yeah, no. Oh, you two, let's do it. Let's record a show. You two can take over on the record.
Happy
You
for
can
on the
record a
record,
show,
yeah.
any
Yeah.
subject you want. Do anything you want with it for as long as you want, as short as you want. Then we'll put it out.
All right, cool.
Deal?
Yeah, I'm
Let's
happy
do
with
that,
that.
Carl. Let's do that,
Yeah,
Carl.
nice
Cool.
one. We finally got our show, Stu.
Yeah, at last. It's only been.
Finally, we've only
It
been
only
asking
takes
for about a
asking me when
year.
I'm
I
half
know.
asleep. This is how Connor and Benny show came about.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what they've done to get it, but it's how it came
Oh,
about.
Keep that
Anyway.
quiet.
Reds Weekly's back tomorrow. They're going to be talking about about more in detail about the women's game. We've got loads coming up this week, as I said. Hit like, hit subscribe. You're going to see Callum and Stu's new show very soon. Let's face it, they've just spoken a good game. Probably won't happen this week now, but we'll wait to see what happens. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Good. Take it easy, guys. Bye for now.